Welcome gamers to episode 34 of the Busted Buns video game podcast, and thank God we're not going to talk about a game all episode long. Like, we had to take a little break. Like, we love talking about games, but it just takes so much time to prepare for the podcast. So this really podcast episode, we're talking the gaming industry. We're going to talk console wars, trophies, achievements, the magic of Nintendo. That's going to be a fun one.
That will be.
And then those players that just play one game. I understand it, but I don't understand it. We're going to get into it. And then one of the topics that actually happened to me is when you quit gaming for a little while because time flies by too quickly. Like, you play a game, next thing you knew, it's like, no, it's 5 hours later. And so that made me quit gaming for a while. So we're going to kind of go into that. And if we have time, I'm pretty sure Red just threw this at the bottom because it was kind of random. We're going to talk about what games we're playing right now if we have time. But anyways, Red, I want to kick it to you. Console wars this is really relevant, obviously, nowadays, now, with the consoles coming out soon. But just kind of talk about your whole opinion on console wars.
Well, first, I kind of threw that kind of what we're playing now at the end of the outline. We have been spending so much time talking about either the console news that's been coming out, or we've been talking about specific games that sometimes it kind of is fun to just pull back and be like, what are you playing right now? What are you enjoying about it? What's annoying you about it? So things like that. I like kind of adding that in there when we have more of a general podcast than when we're focused on a specific game. So anyway, we'll see if we have time for that. But console wars, like you said, very relevant topic right now with 2 new consoles coming out in just 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. It is right around the corner.
I still need to ask off for work for that one, man. I'm not asked off yet, and I need to.
Hey, hell, when you're teleworking, do you really need to? I mean,
yes, because I got to wait in line for maybe hours to get it. So
That's
I
true.
got to take off a little bit of time. That might randomly come in the afternoon. If I come in and start working in the afternoon, it did not turn out well for me.
But anyway, as with every time a new console generation comes around, the idea of these console wars comes out. Fanboys and like industry people all pick their sides, and everyone's trying to say, oh, this one's going to be better. This one's going to be better. This one's going to sell more. This one's going to sell more. And at the end of the day, I think it is all fucking stupid. I am a video game fan. I love playing video games. I do not care if the PlayStation 5 sells more than the Xbox Series X or Series S, or if the Switch ends up outselling all of them throughout the span of its life. If you're a video game fan and you're not like an investor, who cares if there's a quote unquote winner or loser in the console wars? Like, to me, I fucking love all video games except shitty video games.
Yeah, definitely.
But just seeing people like pick sides and just latch onto it and just use that and bash the other side repeatedly, those are just the worst kind of gamers. Like, fanboys are the worst kind of gamers, in my opinion. And to me, and this is, I know, something kind of triggered it for you, was the whole idea that if you latch on to only one of the systems, you're artificially locking yourself out from playing amazing exclusives and great games on the other systems. So for me, I don't want to see any of these video games fail. I honestly don't think anyone's losing the console wars as long as they make money for their companies, but that's a different thing. But so for me, I think this whole idea of console wars is stupid. It's artificially made up to get clicks on fucking gaming websites, and it's so fanboys can have something to cheer for. So I got a little more worked up than I thought I would. I'm not going to lie. But what about you? What are your thoughts on just console wars in general?
Man, these fanboys, they really go hard too. I mean, they are dedicated, but to me, I think it's BS. I kind of agree with you, but at the same time, I do understand it a little bit. People want to be part of the group. Like, they're always going to have loyalties. Like, you have people who are loyal to Chevy, and Ford. It's the same thing with gaming. There's a lot of people that want to be part of that group, and I do think it's dumb because you do miss out on a lot of games. Now, there is one thing I understand. Like we've said before, we're kind of in a situation where we're lucky financially to be able to buy both systems. We understand that not everybody can do that, and you kind of do have to choose, but choose which one you think is better and has the better games. Don't just automatically say, hey, I'm going to buy Xbox. Hey, I'm going to buy PlayStation. Now, I know a lot of you are listening right now and just like, screw you, man. I am loyal. I'm going to get the system I want. But I think when it comes, like you said, you miss out on games if you're just like, hey, I'm going to buy this system no matter what. And like to me, like there's each system has, great games. I would say PlayStation with its exclusives. Nintendo really doesn't fit in here because, you got Xbox and PlayStation. Nintendo has their little gimmicks. Some, generations it works. The Wii, the Switch. And then some generations it doesn't work out so well, like the Wii U and the GameCube. But, I don't know. I do think it's stupid. These companies, they're going to make money most likely no matter what. So who wins? I guess, there's some bragging rights and stuff like that. But we both feel the same way. Like the point of being a gamer is to like experience all these great games, no matter what platform they're on. PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, PC. The awesome thing about being a gamer is that we can experience all these different gamers. And when you sit there and you stay committed to one system, you miss out on so much great gaming. And some of this fanboy stuff and fangirl stuff is so dumb. Like you go out like companies and blah, blah, blah. Those other systems have great games because they're selling well, they're reviewing well, they're up for nomination. So you can't sit there and say, oh, this system sucks and it does this, this, and this. No, they all have great games. And you know it, so I understand it. I disagree with it. I think it's stupid. I think if you have the money, you should buy all the systems. Like I said, now you don't have to buy them all at one time. Buy them over the course of a generation. You can take like, a couple years in here and there, but yeah, I agree. I just, whatever, really.
And my thing is, it's perfectly fine to have a preference. Like, I prefer Xbox. I have no problem saying that. I like Game Pass. I like the controller. I kind of like the UI better on like when you boot it up. So that's just my personal preference. But I still play PlayStation games. I still play Nintendo games, and they're amazing. I mean, like there is that little part of me that still is like, I'd just like to see Xbox do a little better. I'd still, whatever. But it's like, it literally doesn't matter at the end of the day. And you mentioned this too, like the companies. I don't think the companies necessarily care about winning the console wars because, I mean, like, yes, it is bragging rights. You mentioned that. And it is a good marketing point you can sell to your investors and advertisers and all that crap. I get that. But like at the end of the day, if your gaming division is making you money, who fucking cares if the other one sold more than you? Like as long as you're not going under because of it, which I don't see Sony or Nintendo,
who cares?
Or
the
Microsoft.
Shareholders is who cares, man.
Right. And the shareholders do care because they want to see like, oh, profits are up. That makes our stock go up. I get all that. But at the same time, I'm not sure if they necessarily care that it happened to outsell the competitor. This isn't one of those industries where, at least where we're at right now, the gaming industry is not at a point where the success of like, let's say PlayStation would sink the Xbox, or the success of the Xbox would sink the PlayStation. Like both of these and the Nintendo. I keep forgetting Nintendo because we have the two new systems coming up are Sony and Microsoft. But like we're not in a position where one succeeding is cannibalizing the other to the point it's going to fail. Like so in my opinion, like if it was at that point where it was life or death that you win this competition, then I get the companies caring a lot more. Same with like maybe the video game developers, the fans, things like that. But we're not in a situation where it's life or death for these companies. Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo are not going anywhere anytime soon, even if one generation doesn't do well. I mean, Nintendo has bounced back from the GameCube debacle. Nintendo has bounced back.
They made a lot of money back in the NES and SNES days. So they have a little bit of money to churn through if they want to. Like, the Wii U, which I'm going to actually come to. Like, I kind of hit on earlier, and you're kind of hitting on this too, is that gaming is about the experience. Absolutely. And when it comes to Wii U, like, this is what people talk about. Like, I remember one time I really got into it with this guy because I was like, oh, the Wii U failed, which 99% of people would agree with because I was talking about what? I was talking financially. How financially well did it do and how many units did it sell? And this douchebag is like, well, I really enjoyed the system, man, so it wasn't a failure for me. That's what the fuck I'm talking about, man. But anyways, I get upset about that conversation every once in a while. But, talking about the Wii U, people just like say it was a great experience. So, you talk about winning doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. No, as a game, it should not matter for the gamers. What matters is the experience. And if you love the Wii U because you had a great experience, it doesn't matter if it failed badly.
I got my money's worth. I got my money's worth on the Wii U.
Exactly, I did get my money's worth. That should be the most important thing, is that you got your money's worth. Who cares who wins? Just go for the experience and everything. So, y'all calm down. And y'all not going to calm down. I know that, but this is our little rant that all this fanboy console war stuff. No, there's great games on every system. We all know it. Not all of us will admit it, but we're just there for the experience, and the experience comes from gaming across all systems. So if you're sitting there, if you're committed to one system, you are missing out on some great games, especially if you're an Xbox gamer, because there are some great PlayStation games. Now, if you're a PlayStation gamer and you don't buy Xbox, maybe, Forza and Halo, Gears of War, I guess, is another great one. But, that's really all you're missing, but you're still...
Oh, wait till you can't get Fallout or Elder Scrolls on the PlayStation.
Yeah, oh, hey, there you go. Well, it's about time that Xbox does something and gets some exclusives, But we'll see if that... We talked about that. We'll see if that actually happens or not. But anyways, regardless of what console people side with in the console wars, one extreme popular feature of the last few generations, except for Nintendo does not have this.
Oh, we'll get into that. Don't worry.
Trophies or achievements in games. I want to kind of kick it to you right here. Is this something that you care about in gaming?
It's kind of weird. I'm on the fence on this because on the one hand, it is satisfying when you get that little pop-up either on the Xbox or PlayStation saying, oh, you've earned an achievement. Oh, you've earned a trophy. Like, especially if it wasn't something you were actively going for and it's kind of just more of a pleasant surprise. And part of that is just that gambling feedback. You got some kind of reward, even if it's not a reward in terms of money or anything tangible. But the game, it's like it's reaching out and patting you on the back when you get one of those little trophies or achievements in game. So from that standpoint, like, I like that they are there, and I kind of wish Nintendo had them. And like I said, we'll talk about that in a minute. But my big hang up on it though is like, I am not the kind of person who goes for 100% achievements or trophies on these games. Like, I don't use my gamer score on Xbox or my level, whatever it's called, trophy level on PlayStation. Is that when
people have something on their profile? Like, I see this on Twitter where it's like level 36. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? Is that what the PlayStation thing is?
Yeah. So the PlayStation on your profile has a little number next to your name. And that's just, it's based on, and it's got a little progress bar. Like, as you get trophies, you basically level up. It's like you're playing a role-playing game. Like, as you get trophies, you level up.
Does it go into negative?
I don't think it goes negative.
That might be where mine's at if it does.
So for me, it's like, I like that little feedback reward mechanism. Yeah. It's the same thing casinos do when you win that one time out of 100 roulette spins. But yeah, but for me, I'm not a kind of person who necessarily goes out of my way to get trophies unless I'm going through the list and I see that I'm really close on something. Then I might go after it. But I've only, and I promise I'll let you talk, but I've only like platinumed, as it is on PlayStation on one game, like, and as long as I've had it. And I don't think I've ever got 100% gamer score on any game on the Xbox side. So from a completionist standpoint, I don't give a shit.
So what's platinum? Is platinum getting them all the other trophies?
All trophies. Yeah, okay, platinums get all trophies in a game. And so for me, it's nice, but
does that mean you would 100% the game though?
Not necessarily, because usually there's some stuff you can still do, but a lot of times it is tied to, complete all side quests, complete all main quests. Like the game I 100%ed was Horizon Zero Dawn. And so it was like, it's an open world game. So you get some collectibles out there. So, you collect the various things you can collect, but then it's also like recruit all allies for the final fight. So I would kind of consider that 100%ing that game. I mean, it's a big game and there's a lot to do. So, but no, I've babbled on about this one. I like them from a reward standpoint. I don't care about 100%ing or platinuming a game. What are your thoughts on the trophies and achievements?
First of all, I'm surprised that you did for Horizon Zero Dawn, because I got sick and tired of fighting a machine at the end of every single side quest. Like that I was like, I hit a point where I was like, I'm done. And then did you complete all of Frozen Wilds?
I did not complete Frozen Wilds, so the base game.
Because that shit was hard, man. I was like, if you completed that, you're a lot better gamer than I thought you were. But anyways, you know what? I want to sit here and say that I really don't care about this. I have no clue what my level is or my gamer score on Xbox. It is something that I am going to go check out after we get done with this podcast. But I want to sit here like I was talking about and say that I don't care about these things. But then I was playing Super Mario Galaxy recently. Just finished it up the other day. Fantastic game. If you all have not played Super Mario Galaxy, if you have a Switch, go get Super Mario 3D All-Stars. I don't know why I'm plugging it in, because it's great. It's a great game. That's why I'm doing it.
Hey, we're going to talk about magic and Nintendo games here in a minute. So.
Yeah, well, okay. I'll dive into it farther that time. But, anyways, Super Mario Galaxy, great game. But as I'm playing it, as I'm doing all these things, because I got all 120 stars in the game, I was kind of like, you know what? It would be nice to get a trophy or an achievement. I'd rather have a trophy than an achievement. What the fuck's an achievement, you know? I don't go out and try to achieve shit. Like, I want trophies. I'm materialistic.
That's the athlete
I want
in you
things
from
I
your
can
sports
slam down and
days.
say, hey, look at this. I accomplished something. You can't do that with an achievement. It's not tangible. I need something tangible. Now, technically, these things are just like little icons on a video game system.
None of it's tangible anyway.
Yeah,
I don't think
I
don't think Sony's mailing you a trophy anytime soon.
Yeah, so really they would have to be either both tangible or intangible, however you want to look at it. But you all get what I mean. But
Right.
you know, I do like this, and I get nowhere close to getting all the trophies in the game. But I do go back through you on PlayStation. I will go back through you and kind of see, like, you know, how many trophies did you get in a game, and kind of just comparing our progress.
Oh,
so
that's a good point. Yeah.
So I think it's good for that, comparing, like, you know, now it shouldn't be competition. I know a lot of you all are doing this for competition. I just like to go back and kind of look at Red and say, okay, here's what, you know, he did in the game, and here's what I did in the game.
Yeah.
So I think they are cool. It does give you a sense of accomplishment. Like a week ago, I would say, hey, I don't really care about this. But as I've been playing more Nintendo, I'm kind of like, it would be nice to have this. So I think anything that gives you a sense of accomplishment throughout a game other than what you're doing in that game, like, that's an accomplishment for the system. So I think it's kind of just, as an Xbox gamer or as a PlayStation gamer, you're raising your profile. And I think that's really cool. And so now I do like it.
And I think you really brought up a great point with, you don't realize how much you like it until you're playing a game that doesn't have it. Like you said, the Nintendo games. I had the exact same experience playing through Mario 64 recently, also on the 3D All-Stars. And
we'll talk about that later.
Right, I know. But you're absolutely right, though. Like, Nintendo not having them was such... I don't want to say it makes the experience feel more hollow or more empty, but it makes me less likely to try to get, like you said, 120 stars. Like, so I got to 105, so all the stars without getting the 100 coins is what I got to in Mario 64. And I was like, I could try to go ahead and get all 120. I'm like, but what's the point? I don't get an achievement or a trophy for it. And that's such a dumb mentality. Like, if you love a game and you're enjoying playing it, you would think you'd do it just for the sense of playing the game a little bit longer. Like Mario Odyssey, I did the 880 moons, and I sure as shit didn't get an achievement for that. But,
that's crazy, man.
But so I do hope Nintendo incorporates it in some way, shape, or form at some point. And I know we've bashed their online offerings and things like that for years now, because it's so far behind where Microsoft and Sony are. But it's just, to me, it's like, you're absolutely right. It's like you don't think about it until they're not there. And I remember, like, Yoshi's Woolly Crafted World. Yoshi's Crafted World was the first game I was really playing. And, there's so many, you had to redo the levels so many times to get the flowers and all that. And I'm like, I'm just getting enough to beat this fucking game. Like,
I didn't even get that far. I just said, I ain't doing this shit.
I at least beat the game, but I was like, there was no incentive to get all those flowers. I did just the bare minimum to beat the game, basically. And then I was thinking about it with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, where you're like, that game is so fun. I wanted to play all the levels anyway. So I sought out trying to, like, all the secret exits so I could play all the levels, because that game's gameplay is unbelievable to me. Yeah. But then I was like, I'm not trying to get Kong on every single world. I'm not trying to get all the puzzle pieces on every single level. Like, it was one of those things I'm like, I want to see all the levels. I don't need to get everything on every level. So it absolutely is one of those things. I appreciate them being in games. Yep. I hope Nintendo gets them next generation. But, we kind of talk about Nintendo lacking in these trophies and achievements, but their games do have a certain kind of magic to them that keeps us coming back to them over and over. And this is an interesting point you brought up. You've been playing Ghost of Tsushima lately, and so have I. And you've said before, I think on this podcast, that you consider it's moving up your rankings. You consider it a 9 out of 10 type of game.
I would say I'm around a 9.5, but I don't want to give like every game a 0.5. So it's either going to be a 9.4 or 9.6, but I haven't decided yet, but go ahead.
But but even while you were playing this amazing game that you're loving, you were still drawn to go back and play Mario Galaxy or Mario Sunshine. I think you played first, actually. So Nintendo charm. What is it about Nintendo games that makes you want to keep going back to it even when you're playing potentially another game that's absolutely amazing.
Here we are. I wanted to get to this in the last topic, if you all couldn't tell, but you start talking about those coins. And in Super Mario Galaxy, like there's 15 worlds, galaxies, I guess is what you would call them.
Yeah.
They have 100 purple coins that you get a star from. And usually that is something that I do not do. I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time going around getting 100 coins. Now, the purple coins are different than the gold coins because they're kind of more compact, and like a lot of times there's a timer or some kind of other task that you have to do. But when I was going through, like the only reason that I did this is because I did not want the game to be over. And the only other time that I've experienced that is with The Witcher 3. Now, here's the thing. I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm sitting here playing Super Mario Galaxy alongside it, and I'm doing some tasks that I usually don't do because I don't want the game to end, and it's the second fucking time that I've played this game. That right there is the magic of Nintendo. That's what Nintendo does, and you can't really, can't really always put your hand around what the magic actually is, but I think I just described an example is that they took me away from a great game, and I sat there and played a game all the way through, almost 100%. Now you can't go through here's the spoiler. If you now play Super Mario Galaxy, if you get 120 stars, then you get Luigi, and then you can get all 120 stars again, and then there's one final star. I ain't doing that shit. I ain't got time to play through the game.
That's overkill.
Yeah, that's a little bit overkill, but just the fact that it took me away from a game. You know what I'm saying right now? Ghost of Tsushima, I'm going to give it a 9.4. That's my final ranking because a 9.6 is really, really high. I mean, you got to be a really great game. So anyways, Ghost of Tsushima, final ranking, 9.4 from Hig. But to get me away from a game that's a 9.4 and one of the best games that I've played in a long time, to play a game that I've already played, I mean, that's the magic of Nintendo. And they have that. I don't know if it's art style. It's definitely not graphics. It's definitely
right.
Well, here's the thing. I'll kick this to you because I've been talking for a while, but let's just kind of talk about the art style. The graphics is not as good as other console games, but it does still, I think, look as good.
They really do, and we've talked about that Nintendo art style in prior episodes. It's just one of those things. They don't go for photorealism. Like they're not going for you to be able to see every pore on Mario's face and every drop of rain on a leaf, but they just make it to where it's so beautiful anyway, whether it's a Mario game, a Zelda game, even a Kirby game or Yoshi's Crafted World, anything like that. They find a way to make it look very beautiful without being photorealistic. So it's definitely not graphics, but that art style, I am a huge fan of Nintendo's in-house art style. And you know, to me, I think one of the biggest factors that brings up that magic of Nintendo
Imagine
games,
if they put their engine out there for people to develop games with.
Oh my God, there'd be there'd be a lot of more good potential out there. But for me, what kept me going back to a game like Mario Odyssey is the gameplay. Same with Breath of the Wild. Nintendo games going back to the original Mario Brothers on NES have always controlled so well, compared to some of the other systems where maybe it's a little less precise, it's a little more floaty. And I get when Nintendo's bread and butter for a long time was these platforming games that were pretty challenging. You had to have precise controls. So that gameplay of Nintendo games where it's if you screw up, it's your own fault. The game didn't fuck you over, you screwed up, because the characters control so well in Nintendo games, and that has existed since, like I said, since Generation 1 with the NES.
Yeah.
So for me, I think a lot of that magic is the games are just, they feel right to play. Your guy does.
They're so smooth.
The guy does what the character, guy, girl, whatever, does what you want it to do. So for me, so much of that magic just comes from the gameplay, because it is all, and that should be at the end of the day, that should be the most important thing in games. I know story, graphics, all that stuff does play in, challenge, but gameplay, how does a game, is it fun to pick up and play? And Nintendo first party games have always nailed that. But I do wonder if a little bit of that Nintendo magic is just because they were one of the first to do so much of this stuff. Do you think that nostalgia factor maybe plays a little bit into why we look at Nintendo games, even current ones? We still look at them a little more fondly maybe than we do a Sony or Microsoft, or going back further, Sega or any of those other consoles, it's like, do you think nostalgia plays a little bit into it, even when it comes to newer games, just because we have fond memories of Nintendo?
I think maybe the characters, dude. Like, you've known those characters for a very long time, but like, I'm sitting here, I'm playing Super Mario Galaxy, and I cannot quit. I don't think it has anything to do with nostalgia. I think it has to do with it being an incredibly fun game to play. Some of that is the art style. Some of that is the smoothness of the gameplay. But I think it's kind of, how their games are organized. Like, Mario is a great 3D platformer, and I love platformers. I would love 2D, but as I said, they're too fucking hard to play nowadays. Developers, I've bitched at you already on numerous episodes. Make your 2D platforming games a little bit easier. So
at least let you beat the game.
Yeah, so I can play. Forget beating the game, Red. I just want to get past like the first couple levels, man. But anyway, so 3D platformers, they are usually easier these days, and a lot of them are fun. Spyro, I just got New Super Lucky's Tale. I've not played it yet. There's probably a couple more out there that I'm missing, but they're still not as fun as Mario games. And like I said, some of that is like nostalgia with the character, but as far as gameplay and art style, I don't think it has anything to do with that. If you hadn't asked me what it comes down to, it's just fun. Their games are fun. I think they are made better than any other game. I can't really say that, but they are made very well, and like their first party, we're definitely not talking about third party games here, but their first party games, they just have that charm. Like in a world where a lot of people, even for linear games, well, actually linear games have to have a better story than open world games, but
they need a story to push them along.
No matter what type of game you're playing, people still want a great story. It doesn't have to be long, but it's got to be great. Mario stories have sucked for 20, 30 years, but it's still like they still do the job because they are so fun to play and just.
They are.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I sit there and I think about it, and like I do love PlayStation, I do love Xbox, and I've been a Nintendo gamer since the NES. But like when they release a first party game, not all of them. Like Pokemon, I'm not really a big fan of. Animal Crossing, I tried but didn't really like. Yoshi, I've tried a couple of Yoshi games. They really haven't clicked with me. But, your Zelda, your Mario, your Donkey Kong, I don't know what it is, man. I guess the fun aspect. But when I start playing those games, I drop everything I do and I just play those games. Like, kind of go back to the first part. The experience and them being fun, but that's kind of where. Do you want to kind of say anything else on that?
Yeah, no, I was just saying I completely agree because when Mario 3D All Stars came out, I was playing The Last of Us Part 2, which, as we discussed in our last episode, is a very, very, very good game. Even though we maybe bashed it a little more.
I don't know if I put that many varies on there. Yeah, I think he gave it 3. I maybe give it 2.
It's just short of being great. I will say that it's a very good game, just shy of being great. But as soon as Mario 64 All Stars came out, I'm like, well, I'm playing Super Mario 64. I don't care what's going on with Ellie or Abby. I don't give a shit. I'm playing Mario 64.
Yep.
And I do wonder because even
that might be nostalgia right there. Though.
That one was probably a little bit of nostalgia, but then I look at you look at some of the awesome PlayStation and Xbox games that we've played since we kind of got more into more serious gaming the last couple generations, and I do wonder, do you see any of the PlayStation or Xbox games that we've played that you think will have that same feeling that maybe 5 years down the line we'll be like, oh, I need to go back and replay that. That was so good. Or is it really limited just to Nintendo for us?
No, I really don't think that because here's the thing, like going back to it, it's the magic of Nintendo. Because here's the thing, you're going back, you're playing Nintendo 64 games. You just played Super Mario 64, and then we still go back, we play Link to the Past, maybe Super Mario World, and then we also, I don't go back and play a lot of NES games, but I do play them here and there. You're not going back and playing any PlayStation 2 games. When you're playing the Master Chief Collection, when you hit that select button to go back to the old graphics, I guarantee that you don't leave it on there for very long. You check that bitch out for about 5 seconds and then you turn it back. And this kind of goes back to that art style. Like their games, Nintendo's games have grown very well. You're still able to go back and play them. Whereas with PlayStation 2 games or, even PlayStation and then the original Xbox those games just look terrible unless they're remade with HD. Like it has to be a remake. So they don't have that same kind of magic. And no, we're not going to see it in the future unless they remake their games. Like, they can't do what Nintendo does. Nintendo just dropped 3 Mario games. 2 of them looked like crap on the Nintendo Switch. Now, Super Mario Galaxy, I will admit, did look very, very good, but that's a Wii game that, they probably were able to update the graphics, make it look very well, but they just basically dropped Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine.
Those were copy and paste jobs.
The graphics, they were a little bit better, but for the most part, they looked exactly the same, but they were still fun. PlayStation, Xbox, you gotta remake your games. You gotta have them in HD, and you gotta have the controls. Like, whatever was wrong in the first couple of ones, like, you gotta fix that, because here's one other great thing that Nintendo is at, kind of going along with the gameplay. Their controls are solid. We talked about how smooth the games are. Like, the Xbox and PlayStation, while they are very good, no one has ever been as smooth as Nintendo has. And Super Mario Odyssey is a fantastic example
that's
of
the
that.
apex of controls.
Super Mario 64. Like they took a game. Nobody was really doing 3D back in the day. Like, there's a couple 3D games here, couple there, but they took it and they did a fantastic job with it. They've almost always nailed their controls. They've had a hiccup here and there. They had some in Luigi's Mansion 3 that I really didn't care for, but other than that, they usually nail. But anyways, Red, I'll kind of go to you. I don't think it's going to happen with the newer systems. What about you?
I'm with you. I mean, the only game I can think of from either Sony or Microsoft that I've gone back and replayed is Halo. And part of that is, like, I have a lot of nostalgia from, and that one is nostalgia.
But it was remade,
But it was remade. But that was one that got me through, like, my, last year of high school, first couple of years of college, like, was so much fun. And, like, it does control very well. Like, the Halo series controls also amazingly well. Kind of like we talked about the Mario games controlling well. Like, the Halo series always has had amazing controls too. But other than that, I cannot think of a single Xbox or PlayStation game from any generation that I've gone back and replayed at all. Like, The Last of Us was an amazing game. The Uncharted games were amazing games. Halo has been Halo is the only one of all these amazing games that I've gone back and replayed. So I'm with you. I do think Mario is the one series that will, or the one system that will continue to have that charm. Because, like you said, I'll still go back and replay Ocarina of Time, Mario RPG, Link to the Past, and it's not just nostalgia. They aged amazingly well.
You said Mario system. I think you meant Nintendo. But anyways, that's not a big deal. But, anyways, they talk about Nintendo games. Like, you kind of want to go back. You want to replay them. They're awesome. They have that beautiful magic behind them. But some gamers, man, they spend years playing the same game. And I was thinking about a friend the other day. Like, we have a friend. We probably have more that play just one game. But we have a friend that plays FIFA nonstop. And I was kind of sitting there thinking, first of all, I'm going to pose this question to you. Do you actually consider those people gamers? And then two, like, they are missing out on so many great experiences, like so many other games that they could be playing. But I kind of just going to kick it to you right here. What's your whole opinion on people like, I'm not going to call them gamers. I don't mean to be mean or anything, but I'm kind of like, I don't really know if those are gamers, but what is your opinion on people that just play one game like for years?
Well, the funny thing is, like, I do still consider them gamers. I mean, they're playing games.
I do too, I guess.
But it is funny because the people who take that to, like, a professional level, who play, like, these competitive games and actually make a living off of it, most people would say they're the most hardcore gamers of all, because they've taken the time to, like, literally master the ins and outs of a particular game and play it to the point they can not necessarily make a living, but they're professional esports leagues out there. I mean, it's insanity. So, or not insanity. I mean, it's great for them.
Yeah, and it's scandal after scandal with that stuff too.
But so to me, yes, I do consider them gamers. For me though, like, I get if you're a great gamer and you want to turn that into a living. You almost
but too many people try to do that. It's kind of like the professionals. Only a small percentage gets there, and everybody wants to do that. I think that's one of the issues with it. But go ahead.
Well, I think that's and that's an interesting point. I think that's kind of why, like, streaming and content creation has gotten as big as it has, because gaming is insanely popular, and there are people who are very good at games but not good enough to break into that what you would call the professional realm in terms of like competitive, League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Overwatch, those professional leagues, but they're still good gamers or they're entertaining gamers and they can make money off streaming or content creation. And that's kind of a different topic than just focusing on the one game, but I'm glad you brought that up because you're right. Only a few people can go pro. It's like all the commercials, only .whatever% of college athletes go pro. So it's the same way. And I think that's given a huge rise to streaming and content creation, but that's a whole different topic.
Yeah, but what about the people that do that, only play one game, but they don't care about the streaming or being on YouTube or being in a competitive league? Like they just obviously if you love doing it, do it. Like, and I would consider those people gamers. I know I was kind of bashing on them or whatever, but if you love doing something, do it. We're not going to sit here and say, don't do something you love. But like, what about the people that just do it to do it? I mean, I'm sure you don't have any bad opinions, but that's not the way that I want a game.
Well, and I hate the idea of people who focus on one game so much, become so good at it to the point that it's no longer fun, though. Like, I've never played a professional sport. I've never played a professional league in video games, but I can only imagine at some point it's no longer fun to be playing. It literally is your job. It is your livelihood to be the very best in these games. And like, so I know the original analogy or the original example we were using was just a friend who happened to love one series. He loved FIFA and he played the shit out of it.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. But I know I kind of segued into people.
Well, he's a douchebag, but not for that reason,
But so I look at like these people, like I understand why it happens. It takes a long time to perfect one of these games. And like whether it's League of Legends, Counter-Strike, FIFA, whatever, it takes a very long time to perfect it. And once you do, it makes it very hard to move on from that and start all over from scratch again. Yeah. So I do get it. When people are kind of doing it more casually, though, that's where it surprises me. Like the example of our friend. He's not a pro FIFA player or anything like that. He just really loves jumping online. Yeah. He just really loves jumping online and playing FIFA. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But I do think by not broadening your horizons and trying different games, and you're not going to like everything you try. I don't like every game I play, but you're missing out a little bit when you just focus on one game. And even when I was like playing Halo fairly religiously back, like I said, the end of high school, beginning of college, I still played other games. Yeah. Like, so to me, it was always one of those, like, that was always my mainstay, but there was always something else to try. So I know you've kind of given your thoughts a little bit, but I know I kind of went off in the professional direction, but go wherever you want with it. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I think I would call them competitive gamers more than I would just gamers, but I think that competition obviously is some part of that. Like people just like to compete, and playing a game like FIFA or Overwatch or League of Legends, like you're just competing. Now, you could really say that everything you do in a game is competing because you're trying to beat some obstacle, but I think that has a lot to do with it. Like, people, and like, they have fun. They compete, they have fun, they're competitive. Just to me, it's not something that really, I guess, appeals to me. I could just not sit there and play one game that much, especially something like FIFA.
I get bored.
Yeah, where you're buying it year after year after year because you gotta stay up with the players and their rosters. Right. Like I'm assuming
Madden was the same way for a long time.
Yeah,
Madden
I'm assuming that if you compete like that, you have to buy the new one. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but anyway. So. Let's kind of transition. You're not supposed to sit there and say transition when you're trying to go through a transition. But anyways, some people play a game for years, and then some people just like me quit playing games entirely for a while. We kind of talked about this. Like I said, it's something that's happened to me, but it's that whole concept of when you're playing games, like you're having fun usually. And like, unless you're a competitive gamer and getting your ass kicked. Anyways, but when you're playing games, you're having fun, and it can really make time fly by. And there was a point in my life, and I've talked about this before, I didn't make the best decisions in my life. Now, I wasn't getting in trouble illegally or anything like that. I just decided to quit gaming for a little while, and that was the bad decision that I made. And, there was, a lot of factors around it. Oh, you're maturing. Yeah. Oh, you're out of college. Oh, you need to grow up, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, folks, I was stupid. I've gotten wiser with age, but one of the factors that did come into play during that time was this concept that when you play a game, you get lost in it, and 4 or 5 hours can go by, and I really just didn't want to work and then come home and be like, oh crap, it's time to go to bed. Like, I wanted to enjoy my night, and just have, okay, I was still having fun, But I want my night to night fly by. Like I want it to be, slow because as human beings, most of us want to, I would think all of us really, but we want to slow life down. And it felt like life was going too fast when I was playing games for that long. So is this something that you have experienced?
I haven't experienced it to the point that it was a factor in like stopping gaming for a period of time, but the feeling is there. And especially like you and me are in different situations in our life. I mean, you're the one with the kids, a little more responsibility in your evenings, whereas I kind of don't have that responsibility. So for me right now, I'm like, oh, I've got a free evening.
Yeah, notice I'm not laughing right there or anything.
So for me, it's like I have a free evening. There's really I don't watch that much TV. I watch sports, but if there's nothing good on that way, I'm like, I can sit here and play a game for 6 hours. What do I care? I've got shit to do. I know my girlfriend will say, you could be spending that fucking time with me and my kid.
Hey, man, sometimes I can't pull off a couple hours and it will make my wife mad, but sometimes a couple of hours of playing video games is worth the doghouse. It just is.
You need your release and your free time and your time.
Well, it's my free time, and I don't really have an argument against that. Like she brings up a good point, but I'm just like, I'm willing to spend a little bit of time in the doghouse to get a couple hours in. Sometime it's the trade off. But go ahead.
So no, for me, it is something you don't really think about that much as an adult now. At least I don't. But when you're a kid, like when you were used to having a set bedtime. Maybe it was 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever time it is. All of a sudden you start looking at that clock and you're like, oh crap, it's midnight. Midnight felt so late as a kid. Yeah. You said you lose time and it hits midnight and you're like, oh shit, what am I doing? Now as an adult who went through college and was up till 3, 4, 5 in the morning more times than I probably should have been, still happens as a grown up adult every now and then too. I won't lie.
Yeah.
But I just feel like you get that. You don't have that same time constraint in terms of I need to be in bed. Even though I know we have to get up and do our jobs, go to work, all that stuff, or take care of the kids.
But in high school, man, you had to go to school all day and then you had some activity usually after that, whether it was sports or, or whatever. So your days were a lot longer at that time too. Like you would go to school, it varies. But 7:30 to 8, and then you wouldn't get home till 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. You need some sleep to get through days like that.
You got to do homework somewhere in there too. So.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like
you did homework. Go ahead.
Hey, I passed.
Yeah. No, you stay for a damn exam, maybe an eighth of the time that I did, and would do better than me. So don't sit there and say you did your homework and all this and studied and all this crap.
Right.
You probably did your homework, but go ahead.
So I've never really had that feeling where I played the game or I was losing that time so much that I was like, okay, I need to step away from this. And I know a lot of people, video game addiction is something that's kind of, I don't know if it's necessarily defined in the official medical shit, but it is something that you see happening and people can get lost and you forget your other, or not forget, but you ignore your other responsibilities. You don't sleep, you ignore your health. Mm-hmm. All that can happen. But I feel like we're not at that point yet. We may have our other addictions as we sit here pounding beer. I think as long as you
sit there and think about it, you're not going to hit that point or anything. But I just thought it was kind of a good topic, anyways, to kind of talk about. But Red, before we end here, let's kind of get into our last topic that you threw on the outline. What are you playing right now?
Oh, Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima. It is. I finally got to it. All I can say is it's a game that doesn't, in my opinion so far anyway, doesn't innovate that much. It's not reinventing the wheel. It just does everything really well. Yeah. In a very well done package. The combat's fun. The story is good. The world is beautiful. The music, the exploration, the little side quests, none of it is revolutionary. None of it is something I haven't done in a different game. It just brings it all together very, very well. I'm 50-ish hours into it. There is a timer on this. I think you'd mentioned you couldn't find where it tracked your hours on this one. But there is a timer where you can see how many hours
offline, you're going to have to tell me where that's at because I've never seen it.
So I've played a little over 50 hours, just finished the first act and the first third of the island. So I've probably got another 100 or 50 to 75 hours to go. Yeah, you got a while if you want to finish the first island. Right. So that's what I'm playing. I'm absolutely loving it. I don't know if I quite have it as high as you, but also I haven't finished it yet. Yep. So, but yeah, that's what I'm playing. How about you?
I finally got back into PC gaming a little bit, man. Like I took a
There
break
you go.
with The Last of Us Part 2, and then I played Ghost of Tsushima. So I took a long break from PC gaming. Don't know exactly when I'll get back to Assassin's Creed Odyssey because I just played Ghost of Tsushima, another open world game. But
did you ever beat Odyssey? Hold on.
No, I haven't beat it yet.
Oh, shit.
I'm like 80, 85 hours in. I got to get back to it sometime because I put so much time in. But anyways, I started up Tomb Raider because that was a game I had on PC. I was like, hey, a nice maybe 10 to 20 hour game, linear game. I go, that would be nice to get back into PC and also play a different type of game on PC because I've been playing mostly open world. So right now, Tomb Raider on PC, I probably will beat the game, but then I'm faced with a tough decision because somehow I have it both on PC and PlayStation 4. Did I buy it twice? I don't know. Maybe I did. I'm sure it was on sale.
Well, you got the Tomb Raiders for like $5 on PC.
Yeah. If I paid for it, it wasn't a lot. So that's what I'm playing right now. And then also, I just beat Super Mario Galaxy. So now I've jumped to Super Mario 64. And y'all know me. I ain't playing no more Xbox stuff. There ain't nothing on Xbox right now. Xbox, step your game up. But anyways, let's go ahead and wrap up this podcast episode. All the links will be in the description for this stuff. But you can support us on Patreon or PayPal. If you can't support us financially, please leave a review or a rating, or both. They greatly help us out with our rankings when people enter certain search terms. And then check out our websites, 2guysplayingzelda.com and tgpcgaming.com, which I'm really putting a lot of time into the latter website. We got a lot of merchandise on there. We do earn a commission if you make purchases through our links, but those are really some cool websites right there. And we got blogs and everything else. So go check those out. And Red, you kind of want to talk about what else we got going on?
Well, the big thing we got, that one of my favorite things is Discord. We've got a great Discord server where we talk about PlayStation, Xbox, PC gaming, Nintendo. We talk sports. We talk booze. We talk life in general. It's a great place to talk and connect with other gamers. We're also on YouTube. We've got TGPZ Gaming. We've got Two Guys Playing Zelda, where it all started. And do we have a Busted Buttons PC page that has our
no,
that has our podcast?
It's on Two Guys. It's on TGPC Gaming. All our podcasts are on our TGPC Gaming YouTube channel.
And then we're also all over social media. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're at Busted Buttons PC. Go look for us. I thought this was a great episode. We're getting closer and closer to our new consoles dropping, and you better believe we're going to have all kinds of fun talking about that. I got to throw a question to you. You asked me an interesting question, but I'm going to flip it on you. If you can't get the Xbox, are you going to get the PlayStation?
Well, I'm not even going to try to get the Xbox. I'm going to try to get the PlayStation. But
that's right.
No, I think I'm going to commit maybe a month or so to getting the PS5. And if I can't get it within the first month, then I might start thinking about it differently. But
just which one can
plan
you
on
get?
buying the Xbox. If you can get the Xbox on Tuesday, or I think it's a Tuesday, are you going to get the PS5 on Thursday?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Yep.
Because whichever one I get, I mean, like we talk about being able to get both of them. Get them both at the same time is almost impossible for both of us. But I'll have to think about that long and hard on Thursday or on Tuesday afternoon if I'm sitting there and I haven't got my hands on it.
Well, it's not next week, but it's in a couple weeks. But
we got a couple weeks. But we'll be talking about that a lot here in the future. So thought this was a great episode. It was fun to kind of get away from talking about individual games for a few minutes. So keep gaming and have a safe week.